Tears burst through the morning fog as a grieving bride clutches a blood-red rose at her warrior's grave. 5 years after the military declared him dead in an ambush, she still keeps faith through tear-stained prayers. Now, as autumn leaves dance through Mount Hope Cemetery, a ghost in military dress speaks. "Will you marry me, my love?" The rose slips from her trembling fingers as she turns to face a miracle. The crisp Rochester morning bathes a solitary figure in autumn light. Sarah Mitchell kneels before a white marble headstone in Mount Hope Cemetery, her black dress pooling around her like spilled ink. A single red rose trembles in her hand, the same kind James always brought home on special days. The grave before her is empty. No body was ever recovered, but it stands as a silent testament to her brave husband, Army Special Forces Captain James Mitchell. The morning dew soaks through her dress as she traces the cold engraving with trembling fingers. Today should have been their 10th anniversary. Instead, it marks 5 years since that fateful morning when everything changed. That fateful morning when she kissed her husband one last time. The memories flood back, sharp and vivid as shattered glass. 8-year-old Emma had been clutching her father on their front porch, her American flag swaying in the spring breeze with pride. "Daddy, do you really have to go?" she'd asked, lower lip quivering. Captain Mitchell had carried his little girl in his arms, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. "Princess, sometimes heroes have to do hard things," he'd whispered, pressing his silver captain's bars into her small palm. "Keep these safe for me. When you miss me, hold them tight and remember how much Daddy loves you." Emma had nodded bravely, though tears streamed down her face. The grieving wife remembers how her brave husband stood, that fateful morning, military backpack slung over his shoulder. "I'll be back before you know it," he'd promised, waving them goodbye. Just one last mission. His familiar scent lingered long after his truck disappeared down Rochester Street. The video calls had been their lifeline. Every few days, her husband's face would appear on their screen, tired but smiling. "My brave girls," he'd say, as Emma showed him her latest drawings on the other side of the world. Their last video call ended with Emma blowing kisses to the screen, her small hand pressed against the glass as if trying to touch her father's smile. "Love you to the moon, Daddy." Her innocent voice carried no hint of the darkness to come. Little did this sweet family know their world was about to shatter into 1,000 pieces. Days crawled by without a word from their patriarch. Each notification on Sarah's phone made her heart leap, only to crash again when it wasn't her love. The little girl kept asking, "When's Daddy calling?" Her question growing heavier with each passing day. Days stretched into weeks, weeks bled into months. Where once they'd seen James's smiling face, now there was only a black screen staring back at them. Sarah would sit in the dark after Emma went to bed, clutching her phone, wishing it to light up with his call. Sadly, the silence grew deafening. 7 harrowing months of desperate hope and unanswered prayers later, a black government SUV crawled up their driveway like a harbinger of doom. Sarah's heart froze mid-beat at the sight of 2 solemn officers in dress uniforms, their faces carved from stone. Emma sat at the kitchen table, pencil scratching against homework she would never finish, when they delivered the news that would tear their world apart. Captain Mitchell's unit had been ambushed in a remote mountain. The words "no survivors found" fell like bombs in their quiet home. Sarah collapsed, her screams bringing Emma running. "No, no, no!" she wailed, clutching her daughter as they sank to the floor together. Emma's small fingers gripped her father's captain's bars until they left marks in her palm. "He promised," the little girl sobbed. "Daddy promised he'd come back." The military conducted extensive search operations for months before officially declaring them killed in action. But what the world doesn't know, what Sarah and Emma can't know, is that hundreds of miles away, Captain James Mitchell endures hell on Earth. In a dimly lit cell carved into a remote mountain stronghold, he fights to keep his sanity through 5 years of merciless captivity. Through countless sessions of torture, when pain threatens to break his will, he retreats into memories of home. When his captors leave him bloody and broken on a cold concrete floor, he clutches these memories like precious jewels. His daughter's laughter becomes his armor. His wife's love becomes the heartbeat that keeps him alive. Even as his body bears new scars, his spirit remains unbroken, anchored by the promise he made on that sun-drenched porch in Rochester, the promise to come home. Today, Sarah's grief feels raw as an open wound. "They tell me we need to let you go," she whispers to the empty grave. "But Emma still sleeps with your silver bars. She's 13 now, my love, starting to forget the sound of your voice." Just when all hope had withered like the roses she brought each week, when her nightly candle vigils had burned away everything but the hollow shell of her grief, fate intervened on this autumn morning at Mount Hope Cemetery. The sun broke through the clouds that had shrouded Rochester for days, casting a golden light on her husband's grave, as if heaven itself was holding its breath. Footsteps whispered across fallen leaves behind her. Sarah froze, her heart stumbling in its familiar rhythm of sorrow. Then a voice, that voice, the one she'd heard in 1,000 dreams and crying fits, the voice that had kept her sane through 5 years of emptiness, spoke words that shattered her world for the second time. "Will you marry me, my love?" Sarah's world stops spinning. The rose slips from her numb fingers as she slowly turns. There he stands, thinner, with scars mapping his survival across his face, but unmistakably her beloved husband. His Special Forces uniform bears new medals, testament to his incredible journey home. "Is this?" Sarah stumbles backward, her hand covering her mouth. They told us." James closes the distance between them, catching her as her knees give way. "I promised I'd come back," he says, voice rough with emotion. 5 years in enemy hands, but they couldn't break me. You and Emma kept me alive." Through her tears, Sarah learns the truth of his impossible journey home. Her brave husband, even in the depths of captivity, never stopped being the leader his men needed. As a captain hardened by years of Special Forces training, James had watched, waited, and planned. In the bowels of their mountain prison, he'd kept his men's hope alive with whispered strategies and iron resolve. Through brutal interrogations and endless darkness, he forged their will to survive into a weapon sharper than any blade. After 3 years of gathering intelligence and earning the trust of local sympathizers, Captain Mitchell orchestrated what would become known as the Ghost Rescue. A daring midnight escape that turned their prison into chaos. Leading 15 of his surviving comrades through treacherous mountain passes and hostile territory, he guided them to freedom while disrupting the enemy's entire regional operation. Their escape revealed a network of hidden prisons, leading to the liberation of over 60 captured soldiers who'd been written off as dead. His actions hadn't just saved lives, they'd restored families, brought sons back to mothers, fathers back to children, and now finally brought a husband back to the wife who never stopped believing. "Take me home," he whispers against her hair. "Take me to our daughter." Later that afternoon, as the setting sun paints Rochester's skyline in shades of gold, Emma looks up from her homework to see a ghost walking through her front door. Her silver captain's bars clatter to the floor as she launches herself into her father's arms, 5 years of longing finally finding peace in his embrace. Later that evening, laughter echoes through the Mitchell home for the first time in 5 years. The family huddles around their worn oak table on the living room floor, playing cards just like they used to, their favorite game of hearts spread across the table. As the proud father deals the next hand, his stories flow like a gentle river washing away the pain of separation. He tells them about teaching his men Rochester's special version of poker to keep hope alive in their darkest hours, and how Sarah's secret cookie recipe, the one she taught him on their first date, had won over a sympathetic village elder who later helped orchestrate their escape. Their eyes shine with pride and wonder as he speaks not of the shadows he endured, but of the light that guided him home. Emma giggles at her father's playful tales while Sarah smiles, breathing in every precious moment of having her family whole again. Outside, rain dances against windows like nature's own celebration, each droplet catching the warm light from within. The storm that once symbolized their grief now washes their world clean, making everything new again. Through the curtains, Rochester's city lights twinkle like stars, as if the universe itself is witnessing this miracle of love and faith. Because some promises are too sacred to break, some bonds too precious to die, and some loves, like theirs, are strong enough to light the way home through even the darkest night.